Two mysterious skulls have been found that are definitely not human. Since mid-March 2003, the Gloucester Museum in England has been exhibiting a unique find in its glass cases. This find is a peculiar skull that attracts the attention of all visitors and causes both admiration and fear in young and old. The exhibit has aroused both the interest of scientists and expected contempt from others. This exhibit is a skull with very strange dimensions and very different proportions from human skulls. And as can be seen in the image, the skull has a large cranial cavity, much larger than the human cavity. The cranial bone sutures are not visible anywhere. It has a weak but highly inclined zygomatic arc, that is, the eyebrows. It has no cheekbones. Its eye sockets are convex downwards. The nasal bone is very similar to the human one but is wider. The upper jaw has high inclination. No teeth are observed. The lower jaw is missing, and no point of connection with the upper jaw is visible on either side of the paries, the lateral sides of the skull. The paries show a movement towards the interior of the skull, and we do not see, in this illustration at least, auditory exits on either side of the skull. Where are the ears, in other words? The skull is also very special in terms of its strength. Its strength is twice as strong as a normal human skull. The shocking discovery was made by archaeologists in the middle of the summer of 2003 in the depths of a cave in Mexico. After the first investigations and after chemical analysis, they announced that the skull belongs to a 15-year-old child, along with the skull bones belonging to a 70-year-old man were also found. This, of course, caused many questions and disagreements among scientists. The curious thing is the skull on display is not the real one, but a faithful copy of the real one, the original. The real one has long remained a great secrecy and under terrible security measures in British laboratories. Why is the child's skull persistently hidden and no details about it revealed? And why is it hidden for so long and secret tests are being conducted on a child's skull? And why are the details and results of the tests not being revealed? Why such extensive investigations? The skull of a 15-year-old child is even shown in the photo. Skulls, as we see it, much larger than the skull of an elderly man. And we can even compare its dimensions with human proportions in the image in the museum, and experts in the information campaign, similar to the information in Roswell, claim and insist that the skull belongs to a child with a deformed skull. However, many experts talk about an alien skull and demand that all the research and the findings of the test be made public. However, according to experts, the research is continuing and the data has not been made public. Will it ever be made public and released? The mysterious skull and its strange discovery and another event took place in Bulgaria. The event even occupied the Bulgarian press quite a lot, but in Greece it naturally passed, because it was found at the border of northern Greece with Bulgaria. It passed into the news. In Bulgaria, the media reported that the event may not have happened by chance, but perhaps some intellectuals, quote unquote, wanted this particular event to take place there. Specifically, the covers of Bulgarian newspapers were filled with the strange news of the discovery of a strange skull, alien according to some researchers. The find in the first days after its discovery was in the Paleontology Museum of the city of Asenovgrad, the famous cultural and scientific center. However, what is of great interest, apart from the find, is the way it was found by a Bulgarian. In 2001, a 38-year-old Bulgarian had a strange dream, he says. He saw five white-clad anthropomorphic spiritual entities visiting him and indicating a specific point where he would make a shocking discovery. The men were very tall, with short white hair, and wore white metallic armor. The 38-year-old Bulgarian, who insisted on remaining anonymous, declared himself an atheist. Thus, he had learned to interpret such events based on materialistic perceptions, and so he did not attach any importance to the dream he saw. However, the dream was repeated with the same intensity. The Bulgarian was impressed but continued to pay no attention. It took 3 more visits in a dream to bend the materialistic interpretation and approach to this strange event. He was finally convinced to look for this object. It must be emphasized, however, that on the fifth and final visit of the creatures, they revealed that with this sorrow and its publication, the cycle of time will close, quote unquote, whatever that means. When the recipient of the message from the white men decided to look for what had been indicated to him, he realized that he did not have a clear picture of the location and the point to look for, nor of the wider area where this object was located. However, he set out for this research with his wife and two other friends who had shown interest, following his instinct and hoping for a transcendental guidance. This guidance did exist, and they ended up by car in an area of the Bulgarian Rhodope near Plovdiv, and made him feel that it had a direct connection with his dreams. Suddenly turning to his wife, he says, "This is exactly where we should look." And indeed, May 21st, 2001, the Bulgarian man discovered on a nearby hill a find that has occupied and will continue to occupy scientists and may overturn facts and situations in many areas of human civilization. There on the hill was the strangest skull that man has ever seen. The mysterious skull of Bulgaria. And as can be seen, it's a triangular skull, and on its upper part we observe a wide bone in the form of a crown with 6 holes of unknown utility. It has 2 holes in the place of the eyes and no oral cavities, observe no mouth. On either side of the place where the mouth should be, we see 2 bones ending in the place of the canines and starting from the cheeks of the skull. We also see 2 holes at the edge of the mouth. There's no nasal cavity. We have a small zygomatic arc and cheeks with a strong tendency towards the inside of the mouth. And we do not observe auditory canals, no ears. The simultaneous absence of mouth and auditory canals leaves many questions about the creature's communication ability. How did it communicate with other similar beings? Many daredevils have reported that this creature communicated by telepathy. The creature's bony crown with the holes it bears also gives reasons for such thoughts. The weight of the skull is only 250 grams, and its size is approximately equal to the skull of a baby. However, we can better study the object based on the available photographs shown, the skull as it appears in relation to a woman's hand. The 250 grams it weighs are, of course, very little for its size. The back view of the skull, the 2 holes in the mouth area, continue all the way back through the depth of the skull. The absence of a lower jaw joint and the separation of the cranial bones are also visible. The crown on the upper part of the skull is better distinguished, and it looks like an epithet. However, in the center of the back of the skull, we also see a joint that would obviously be intended to connect the skull to the creature's spine. A set view of the skull, we observe several cranial bone sutures, and we also see the holes in the crown of the skull. So the mysterious skull of Rhodope, Bulgaria. The face of the creature, a valuable photo from where we can observe a lot and conclude more. The photo showing the upper part view of the skull and side view of the face facing the right of the right photo showing us the cranial cavity of the creature, the brain cavity, in other words. What we observe is that the creature has a brain cavity that is proportionally very large for its dimensions. Secondly, the brain space is divided into 2 parts, just like that of a human. This means that the creature had some intelligence. However, in combination with a spacious brain cavity, questions are left about how intelligent this being was. Let us forget, however, that many anthropologists and doctors speak of an enlargement of the human cranial cavity compared to samples of skulls from earlier times. In other words, an enlargement of the brain space is observed. Continuing the narration of our story, we observe that the other remarkable events is unfolding. The group that discovered this strange skull discovered a strange piece of metal, particularly smooth and very light in weight for its size, 1,500 meters from the area of the skull. It weighed only 800 grams. However, the group did not announce their findings anywhere, waiting for some spiritual guidance on what to do. The guidance finally came, and in December 2001, they showed their findings to experts. They approached the Asenovgrad Museum, and its director, Dimitar Kovachev, was enthusiastic about this exhibit. He therefore agreed to exhibit this find, and for about 2 weeks it remained on display in the museum. Then its owner asked for it back, probably due to relevant guidance. However, the time that the skull remained in the museum was enough to be photographed and examined. And it has attracted crowds of scientists to study it. The first estimates speak of something completely unknown. Paleontologist Jordan Jordanov estimates that the skull dates back at least 30,000 years, and the official Bulgarian community reports that it's a large creature, that if we approach it in earthly terms, then we're talking about a herbivorous mammal. It was also announced that the skull does not belong to any known species of animal that has ever lived on Earth. The director of the museum himself, when asked about the find, only speaks of a skull 100% from another world. He also adds that this is not certain that we can connect the incident with the strange and unknown metal that was found nearby. And here we must add that the metal is completely unknown and research into it continues. So far, nothing has been officially announced. In a country like Bulgaria, of course, with a long mystical tradition, it was logical to arouse great interest from those involved in parapsychology and mystical research. The president of Bulgarian Association of Parapsychologists, Marin Naidenov, and the biotherapist Komrat Tomov declared, "A circle will indeed be closed with the finding of the skull, but they are sure that this circle should have been closed thousands of years ago, but as humanity we are late." It was also heard that such skulls exist in many private collections of individuals or organizations, and that they should be made public in order to have a true history. The present incident is obviously a puzzle for science. This time they will not be able to escape by classifying it as hypothetical or extinct animal. This time they will not be able to silence the issue either. Besides, the strange way of finding it and the persistence of the white-clad men show that what happened did not happen by chance. Their persistence shows that they will not easily give up on their goal. What is their goal? The cycle of time will close, they said. This is what they told the man they guided to find the skull. What does this mean? Many interpret it as a statement that, with its discovery and the publication of this news, some very important processes will begin and all scientists and the common people will be shaken. Perhaps the scientific community will even accept not only the existence, but also the visit of extraterrestrial entities to our Earth. Of course, we understand the impact of such an action on public opinion. The rest are personal thoughts and perceptions. The writer says, "I do not know where to classify this finding. In cryptozoology, in the theory of extraterrestrial life or something else, wherever we classify it, it certainly arouses admiration and various thoughts. Science hastened to react as is logical. The well-known parascientists and deceptive mass media spoke of an extinct species of ox. The ridiculousness of the claim is, of course, obvious. In fact, the press reported the event with a characteristic lightness with which it refers to similar issues, and with an obvious will to ridicule, it spoke in a tone of mockery about the dreamers and fantasists who rush to talk about aliens and extraterrestrials, little people. The truth will shine as always." But as always, with persistence and research, I do not know exactly what the skull is. I do not believe that it is something that we know and that exists around us. There are also thoughts about the hollow earth. Really, its inhabitants, if they exist, is there any chance that they resemble something like this? Is it out of the question that aliens lost one of their own and left it in a cave where the skull was found? No, nothing is out of the question. We see and we wonder and we search and we judge. So we have a continuation of this effort. Please leave your comments about this and thank you for your support. Please support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.